The distinctive habits and way of life of the Amish continue to captivate us in a world of contemporary comforts and changing traditions. One of their many unexpected customs is a lesser-known but startling custom concerning married ladies and their teeth. The Amish value simplicity and modesty, but this custom has generated interest and debate. After marriage, why would women voluntarily extract their teeth? Is it an expression of practicality, commitment, or something else? Come explore the history, cultural relevance, and personal accounts of women who adhere to these ancient customs as we dig deeper into this intriguing and enigmatic practice. Get ready to discover the real meaning of this perplexing tradition. Electricity. The Amish adhere to several fundamental principles. In contrast to the rest of America, the Amish reject individualism and view technology as a detrimental force that detracts from hard group labor and allows the individual to spend time thinking about matters outside the community. They don't drive automobiles or use power often because of this, but don't assume they're just attempting to replicate the past. Some Amish enjoy modern instruments for specific tasks because technology is evaluated based on its perceived value to the community rather than its advancement. Facial hair. The Amish are an ancient people with ancient customs. Many elements of their early 18th century arrival in America are retained in their customs, which act as a living time capsule. The Amish beard is among these customs, most distinctive and easily identifiable. Everyone shaves their mustache, but Amish men have beards for various religious and traditional reasons. You might be surprised to learn why. The Amish are pacifists, yet in the early days of their movement, mustaches were strongly associated with a military appearance that commanders and soldiers preferred. The Amish chose to shave their mustaches to set themselves apart from these military men, even though military men now favor a clean-shaven appearance. The custom has endured. Outsiders. Regardless of your nationality, skin color, or place of origin, if you are an outsider, the Amish will call you English. When the Amish first arrived in America, all the people who approached them were English settlers who spoke English. Since they were also Americans, the Amish could not name them Americans and instead referred to them as English. The Amish speak Pennsylvania Dutch but are aware of English and converse with outsiders. The Dutch word Dutch is not to be mistaken with this simplified form of writing, the German word Deutsch. The Amish's faceless dolls. It's well known that Amish dolls lack faces. Although these handmade toys may seem eerie to the outside world, they are consistent with Amish culture fundamental principles. You see, the Amish don't want to promote conceit or self-obsession. A doll with a face is a person with unique qualities that can make it more attractive or less attractive than other dolls. In light of this, it's simple to see why the Amish favor faceless dolls. There's even a certain charm about it. School. Amish children attended public schools with non-Amish students until the 1950s, where they studied arithmetic, English, and other foundational courses until they reached the 8th grade. However, Amish parents began to pull their children out of the public education system and teach them at home or in Amish schools as technology advanced and the American way of life grew increasingly different. Amish youngsters are rarely seen in public schools these days. Rarely sick. The health of the Amish is legendary. The Amish hardly ever get cancer or suffer from severe illness, even though they reject modern technology and primarily adhere to their traditional 18th century medical customs. However, this makes a lot of sense when considering their way of life. Many Amish people avoid smoking and drinking alcohol, go to bed early, shortly after sunset, and are relatively active throughout the day. Furthermore, they cultivate the majority of their food in organic fields. It's no surprise they're this healthy, given their lifestyle. Remembering loved ones. Cameras are among the most contemporary devices that the Amish avoid. They also don't paint because they want to maintain their humility, composure, and calmness, which is motivated by their rejection of Hochmut, which they define as pride, arrogance, or haughtiness, and their high regard for Demut, which means humility, and Geselligkeit, which means calmness, composure, and placidity. Therefore, aside from genuine memory, individuals typically have no visual means of remembering a loved one who's passed away. Amish music. Playing an instrument in public is frowned upon by the Amish, who value simplicity and modesty. However, this does not imply that the Amish people do not enjoy song and music. Furthermore, the actual music events of the Amish happen during Mass, even though some played instruments like the accordion or harmonica in private. The Amish is one of the few organizations in the world where one may hear traditional singing styles that are not present anywhere in Europe today. This ancient religious group has managed to retain ancient rituals. The Rumspringa. The lifestyle of the Amish is quite rigorous. Furthermore, as Amish children are exposed to the outside world, young people, especially teenagers, may develop an intense curiosity about the English way of life in nearby towns and cities. Instead, Amish tradition has a rite of passage called Rumspringa, which translates from Pennsylvania Dutch to mean jumping or hopping around. When Amish teens turn 16, they are encouraged to go on a Rumspringa and experience the world before determining whether the Amish lifestyle is truly for them. This contrasts the prohibition of that curiosity and the taboo surrounding it. Explore the world. Rumspringa can go on for as long as the individual desires. Some Amish teenagers return home within a week, while others choose to make the most of their newfound independence. They frequently travel throughout the United States and even overseas, experimenting with technology, sexuality, and everything else that piques their interest, even narcotics. Because they understand that it would be unfair for their children to not understand what they would be giving up by choosing to live in the Amish community, the Amish elders permit them to do this. This makes their decision to return to the community, if they do, all the more significant and proactive. Most of them do come back. It's interesting to note that most children who leave Amish villages ultimately choose to return and get baptized as full community members, despite the temptations of the modern world. Some Rumspringers spend several years in the outsider's world because Rumspringa can take as long as a person needs, knowing they can return to the traditional group when ready without facing rejection. Baptizing. One of the most significant events in the lives of Amish people is Amish baptism. The Amish view baptism as a serious commitment that only a fully grown adult can make. In contrast to several Christian sects that perform the practice, young people are typically only baptized after taking classes on the topic for several months and being repeatedly reminded that it is a highly significant decision rather than something everyone must do. The Amish feel that if you are not sure you can keep the commitment, it's better to not make it at all than to make it and then break it. Those who have been baptized and have broken their vows are rejected from the Amish community, but those who were raised in the community but have not been baptized are allowed to interact with others. Shopping. To distance themselves from what they perceive as worldly, Amish people strive for independence. They cultivate their vegetables, build their barns and houses, and raise their cattle, yet they cannot accomplish it alone. Sometimes they may need something their community cannot produce, so they shop. Because of this, most Amish communities include at least one dry goods store where residents may purchase items like books and candles. The role of women. Women are expected to be housewives in the Amish culture. They're still viewed as individuals who require a man in their lives to care for them, and they are not permitted to hold positions as preachers or bishops. Even so, a bishop's wife will play a crucial role in baptizing the girls while he baptizes the boys. Many Amish women also sell their quilts and other handcrafted goods in businesses, catering to visitors and other Amish communities. No arranged marriages. The Amish society is free to marry anybody they wish because there are no scheduled marriages. However, the Amish community is still quite conservative and rigorous. Thus, no arranged marriages does not imply that everything is open and free. Dating takes place exclusively in public areas and is highly ritualized. Naturally, Amish males are only allowed to pop the question to a member of the Amish church who has been baptized. They must first obtain approval from the church's leaders and elders. Marriages. Certain items have come to be closely linked with wedding ceremonies that they may feel lacking without them. However, the Amish have their traditions, having lived in isolated settlements for decades. The bride doesn't wear makeup, and there isn't a ring exchange like in other Christian wedding ceremonies. The Amish reject jewelry, cosmetics, and rings because they symbolize vanity. Instead, the bride and groom don a plain blue gown and wear the customary black attire they wear daily. The rest of the honeymoon. The newlyweds depart from the bride's parents' home after their first night together and proceed to stay with other family members. The remainder of the honeymoon consists of a single, extended visit to family members. After the honeymoon is complete, the newlyweds typically stay at their parents' house until they build their own, usually with the help of family. Strong community bond. The requirements of their community were far more critical to the Amish than their own. They consider this to be in line with their Gelassenheit principles and a sign of humility. This implies that the entire community will band together to assist any member who's in need. This is frequently demonstrated by their attempts to raise barns. The Amish are renowned for growing them by hand without power tools and seemingly overnight. Massive community efforts have made this feasible. 3 languages. Switzerland is the birthplace of the Amish movement. However, many Amish left Europe to settle in America, where religious freedom was more accepted, and established their close-knit communities in the early 1700s. Therefore, the Amish speak Pennsylvania Dutch, a distinctive dialect of German, daily, despite being utterly American and competent in English. The Amish deliver sermons in traditional German, the language their Bibles are written in addition to Pennsylvania Dutch, which is used for everyday activities like shopping and conversing, and English, which is used for communication with outsiders. So despite their solitary nature, the typical Amish individual learns to speak 3 languages from an early age. The order of things. The Amish live according to 2 sets of regulations. As with any Christian community, the Bible outlines the first. However, the second is more elusive. Ordnung is a concept that the Amish have. In a loose translation, Ordnung means order, arrangement, organization, or system. Although it's not codified, Ordnung fundamentally makes Amish identity what it is. It determines the way of life that the Amish have chosen, and the Ordnung is directly responsible for many of the customs that we now identify with the Amish. Breaking the rules. Because Amish life is so centered around community, one of the harshest punishments for breaking the Ordnung is Maidung, which loosely translates to time out and means shunned by the community. A Maidung can last a few days, weeks, or even months, and its purpose is to protect the community and remind the person being disciplined why that community is so important. Clothes. Ordnung also includes what Amish people are allowed to wear. Similar to a uniform, Amish communities have strict rules about what can be worn. Because of their philosophy, which values equality and rejects vanity, the clothing is very uniform, with women wearing similar dresses and men wearing plain white shirts and black pants. Naturally, jewelry, makeup, and accessories are not allowed. Technology. Naturally, Amish communities are aware of the existence of technology. One girl on TikTok explains that she sells goods online and has a phone. Still, her community is unaware of social media platforms, including TikTok, and believes she only uses it for emergencies because she works far away and needs to be able to contact someone because the closest hospital is 7 hours away. Health issues. Because of their lifestyle, the Amish are remarkably healthy. Compared to the general population, the Amish have a much lower prevalence of cancer, asthma, and other diseases. But that doesn't mean they don't have their unique health problems. Because their communities are closed off, inbreeding is not entirely uncommon, which means that cousins or second cousins frequently marry because they don't have other potential partners, which can lead to genetic diseases. Dwarfism, angel man syndrome, and other metabolic disorders are far more common among the Amish than in different populations. DNA testing. Many Amish families have had extensive DNA testing because of the unique characteristics of their closed-off communities, both to aid geneticists in their study of genetic drift and to better map family ties and better understand the risks that particular couples may face. Despite their technological apprehensions, the Amish have surprisingly embraced this new science. Sharing is caring. The Amish place a high value on communal meals, where everyone contributes something to the table, and the entire community gathers for a meal. The Amish place a high value on sharing, and since music and art are generally frowned upon, food serves as a vital medium for self-expression and entertainment. Amish Church. In keeping with their modesty ideals, church services are typically simple, devoid of altars, candles, or music. The Amish believe that you don't need a physical church to learn from and teach the Bible. The church can be anywhere, even outside. Despite their strong religious beliefs, the Amish have very simple churches. Not better than others. No matter where you come from or what your beliefs are, the Amish will accept you as long as you respect them and don't try to undermine or disturb their way of life. Their philosophy is straightforward. They don't believe their church is the only right one because they don't think they're better than anyone else. Birth control. Although the Amish do not use birth control or contraceptives, it is surprising that they are not prohibited in Amish communities. The average married couple has 5 to 7 children, and both boys and girls assist around the house and farm. A large family is very important for every Amish family, not because of religious beliefs, but because they're a farming community, and more children mean more helping hands in the field, in the barn, and with the livestock. Non-resistance. The Amish believe in non-resistance, which is based on Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus told his disciples, "Do not resist the one who is evil, but if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also." Matthew 5:39. The Amish take this admonition very seriously. As a result, they are pacifist and will not use any force, even if attacked. They also do everything they can to avoid serving in the military, in law enforcement, or as politicians. Despite their preference for natural remedies and treatments, they are common in hospitals and pharmacies in their communities. Main rule. Many of the Amish customs and practices are, therefore, in place to help them distinguish themselves from what they call worldly, and their time spent during Rumspringa is meant to expose them to what is worldly and help them decide whether they would like to distinguish themselves from it. The Amish philosophy is based on the principle that "Be ye not conformed to this world," found in Romans 12:2. Amish community in the U.S. Originally from Europe, the Amish arrived in the New World in the 1700s and settled in Pennsylvania. Today, they are spread across 28 states, with over 330,000 Amish people living nationwide. There's also a sizable Amish community in Canada, and over the years, new Amish communities have attempted, with varying degrees of success, to establish themselves throughout Latin America. Mennonites. In addition to the Amish, there is another closely related group of people known as Mennonites, who live in areas that the Amish have chosen to settle in. This is not a coincidence. Both groups share the Anabaptist faith, and believe that people should be baptized as adults because children are incapable of making that decision. The Mennonites embrace technology much more than the Amish, and although they dress simply, they tend to wear more modern clothing and lead a slightly more relaxed lifestyle. Inheritance. Men are seen as the family's breadwinners, and women are expected to marry men from other families who will hopefully have their farms and properties on which to live. In the Amish community, a family property, typically a farm and a house, is passed down to the youngest son because the older children would have moved out when the parents retired. Sharing a bed. Contrary to popular beliefs, Amish parents encourage their children to spend the night with the person they are dating. Of course, children must be dressed entirely and kept apart in bed, but they will spend the night together to strengthen their bond. They also frequently hold hands and even sit on each other's laps. Photography. Many Amish make a good living from the tourism their way of life attracts, and getting photos and selling the high-quality handmade goods they make are common ways for Amish to make money. However, they can't take pictures since they don't use cameras. Some Amish don't mind being photographed, but others may be offended, so you must be careful and ask first. Phones. Amish people know that having a phone can be very helpful in an emergency. Some Amish communities do permit the use of phones, but not in the house. Instead, they keep them in a barn, shack, or other location that's easily accessible in case of need, but won't interfere in their way of life by introducing the family to items that are deemed worldly. Homeschooling. Amish children only attend school up to the 8th grade, but their education goes beyond that. Community elders teach boys to trade, farm, and carpentry, while girls learn sewing, cooking, and handicrafts. These skills will help the Amish become productive members of society and positively contribute to their homes and communities. The Amish are so good at what they do that their goods are highly valued and sought after. Authority. Since the church is their only authority, Amish people believe that the church and state should be kept apart because they value God's word more than the government's rule. Their refusal to accept social benefits and public funds is another reason they've never served in the military. As a result, even when a crime is committed, they usually resolve it among themselves and allow the church to discipline and punish instead of involving the state. Sunday dress. Amish girls make all their clothing, including their wedding gown, which is typically blue, though some communities let the brides pick the color. Following the wedding, women will wear the same dress to church services every Sunday and are customarily buried in it. It can be unsettling to think that your wedding gown will also be the last item of clothing, but it also encourages you to make a genuinely well-made item. Medical bills. Although several organizations assist Amish in paying medical bills, the community prefers to be self-sufficient and typically bears the responsibility independently. Amish people do use medical treatments when necessary, but medical bills can be very high, and since they lack health insurance, they must pay. In such cases, the entire community comes together to help, working to raise the money and not stopping until the bill is paid. Cars. The Amish believe that owning a car can be dangerous because it can tempt the community's members to have easy access to the outside world. They also think that motorized transportation may make them less reliant on their community, so they are frequently seen driving horse-drawn buggies down country roads. The Amish are not permitted to own or operate cars. Someone else may drive them if necessary. Outsiders can join. Although uncommon, some outsiders have converted to the Amish faith and become respected community members. To become an Amish member, one must first live with an Amish family for a while and participate in community activities. They must also learn German and Pennsylvania Dutch and adapt to the physically demanding lifestyle. After a sufficient amount of time within the community, they can choose to be baptized, and then they're allowed to marry. Amish retirement. Unlike other communities, the Amish do not have a set retirement age. Instead, it's a decision made after considering several factors such as personal health, family needs, and personal desires. When individuals decide to retire, they live with their family, sometimes in a building next to the family home called the Grasdaudi House. They continue to see their families daily and participate in community activities, and they rarely experience loneliness or a sense of being unneeded. Loneliness is one of the most significant issues that come with growing older in the modern world, as the elderly gradually withdraw from social life and find themselves alone. Amish furniture. Amish furniture is highly valued and expensive today because of their secluded lifestyle, which largely shields them from modern design trends and allows them to preserve traditional designs and crafts from generation to generation. Additionally, many Amish view their labor as a form of worship, so they take extra care and meticulous attention to detail in everything they do, whether woodworking or cooking. Finally, because they largely avoid electricity, many handicrafts are considered artisanal by modern standards. Online sales. In the past, if you wanted to purchase high-quality Amish furniture, you had to go to an Amish community, meet a craftsman in person, place a specific order, go home, and only come back to pick up your new table or cabinet once it was finished. Many communities make their living from the woodwork and other handcrafted items they make. This is no longer the case today, as numerous middlemen merchants offer Amish goods online, serving as a virtual conduit between the traditional communities and the outside world, even if the Amish themselves avoid the internet to a large extent. The Amish Bank. The Bank of Bird in Hand, the first modern Amish bank, was founded as a joint venture between Amish and outside investors and serves the unique needs of the Amish community, including financial plans tailored to their needs and amenities like a drive-through window explicitly designed for horse-drawn buggies. The Amish community is one of the fastest-growing communities in the United States today, and as their numbers increase, so does the demand for more services that cater directly to the Amish community. Date night. People often wonder how young Amish people meet and whether they go on dates, or if arranged marriages are the norm because Amish communities are so traditional and strict. The short answer is that arranged marriages don't exist, and Amish teens do go on dates, just like everyone else. The longer answer, however, is a little more interesting. Young Amish folk have an event called a sing. Sing often occurs in barns on Sunday evenings, where Amish boys and girls gather at long tables, the boys on one side and the girls on the other, and sing their favorite hymns, usually the more lively ones. After the singing ends, the teens mingle and occasionally separate into couples. Traditional food. Food is a big part of Amish culture, and any excuse to get together, whether it's a wedding, a sing, or just a hot summer evening, brings countless dishes passed down from one generation to the next, tweaked and perfected. Since the Amish don't have a vibrant musical scene or frequent nightclubs or movies, what do they do for fun? Eat! Let's take a look at some of the dishes the Amish enjoy. Soups. The Pennsylvania Dutch developed soup making to such a high art that complete cookbooks could be written about their soups alone. There was an appropriate soup for every day of the year, including a variety of hot and cold fruit soups, writes William Woys Weaver in his book Sauerkraut Yankees, Pennsylvania Dutch Food and Foodways. The Amish and Mennonites have become true soup experts, which is unsurprising given that they save every drop of cooking liquid they can, including vegetable, fish, poultry, and beef stocks. Birch beer. The Amish have a particular fondness for a beverage known as birch beer, which is made from sap extracted from the bark of birch trees and can be either soft or alcoholic. The alcoholic version of birch beer has been brewed since the 17th century, and various varieties have gained popularity in Amish communities and nearby towns and cities. Whoopie pie. If you enjoy Oreos, you'll love whoopie pies, an Amish specialty that's been around for generations and has gained popularity nationwide in recent years. Whoopie pies are essentially 2 pieces of chocolate cake with a generous amount of cream or white frosting spread between them, and they are very popular among the Amish, and for good reason. Shoe-fly pie. A list of traditional Amish foods would not be complete without including shoe-fly pie, a crumb and molasses pie that's been a mainstay of Pennsylvania Dutch cooking for centuries and still serves to great acclaim in Amish homes and restaurants. Shoe-fly pie is made with ingredients in any pantry and is very easy to make using readily available ingredients. Schnitz und Knepp. The Amish eat a lot of apples, and many of their dishes are made with apples in one way or another. While apple pies and strudels are popular, Schnitz und Knepp is an exciting dish made with pork shoulder or ham, dried apples, and dumplings. Families almost religiously guard their secret recipes for this dish, so if you're ever in Amish country, don't miss it. Anabaptism. The Amish are part of a more significant religious movement known as Anabaptism. Originating in Zurich in the 16th century, Anabaptists held that baptism is only meaningful when done consciously and proactively. As a result, they encouraged parents to wait and let their infant children choose baptism on their initiative. Needless to say, religious authorities disapproved of this new theological concept, and Anabaptists faced severe persecution. The Amish and a few other groups are direct descendants of these Swiss Anabaptists. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon